All right, welcome back to Morning Joe. It is 26 past the hour. Joining us now, Democratic Mayor of South Bend, Indiana, Pete Buttigieg. He's the author of the new book entitled Shortest Way Home. And after launching a presidential exploratory committee back in January, Mayor Pete on Saturday announced that he has met the donor threshold required to compete in the first Democratic presidential debate.
This is very exciting,
June.
Mayor Pete. And to show you how excited we are that we've all learned to speak Norwegian.
Okay.
And, all right, so tell me this story, because seriously, this is like out of Sherlock. Have you ever seen Sherlock?
Can't say that I have, no.
Oh, it's
He's a little busy, Joe.
Well, Sherlock and his brother learned languages like on a week.
Oh, all right.
But you did that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
read
want
a
to
book, you like it, and you're like, okay, I'm going to learn.
Yeah, so a friend of mine gave me this book, and
Must have been a good book.
It's the kind of book that, like, when you're in your mid-20s, it's the book you need. It's called Naive Super by this author, Loa, L-O-E. And I thought this is a great book. I'd like to read more of this guy's stuff.
Now, can I ask you this? After you read the book, did you have like an existential crisis and drive across America and write posts on Medium?
I got nothing, no comment. No, it's the kind of book for when you're in that kind of mood.
Right.
Oh,
wait. That guy was in the mid-40s. You were in your mid-20s. Go ahead.
You're
No,
getting me in so
30s.
much trouble here.
Working
So yeah, I wanted to read the author's other works, but it turned out that was the only one of his that had been translated. And I'd been studying some really difficult languages. Like I'd studied Arabic in college, and after that, it turns out Norwegian for an English speaker is a lot easier to learn than Arabic.
That's what Willie was
Pretty much
telling.
Yeah.
Right?
I know.
Yeah.
Willie,
Time and again.
You
A
struggled
little
with
rusty,
that one.
but fluent at one time.
Yeah.
So anyway, I picked up a book, and then when I was living in Chicago, I used to go to a church that had been set up by Norwegian immigrants. And so they literally had a pastor from the old country, and they would do the services in Norwegian. So I kind of picked up a little bit of an ear for it. So yeah, we're backstage at South by Southwest about a week and a half ago, and Anand Giridharadas, who you have on the show a lot, fascinating person, I think, spots me,
remarkable,
and introduces me to this this Norwegian journalist who's there. You don't get a lot of chances to use Norwegian, right?
Right.
I mean, Norwegians, as a general rule, speak English better than we do. But I thought this is great. It's a little rusty, but I'll try to, I'll try out my Norwegian on her and see if she responds.
And it worked.
And yeah, it was great. So yeah.
So you've talked about going to Norwegian church. I've also, in your CNN town hall meeting, great. I thought just a great town hall meeting. You talked a little bit about your faith. Tell us about your faith.
Yeah, so I'm Episcopalian. Our church, St. James, is
A new study suggests smoking strong marijuana every day could increase the risk of developing psychosis by nearly 5 times. The research was done by King's College London, among others, and it adds to previous studies that found links between marijuana and mental health issues.
Psychotic disorders in which people have trouble determining what is real and what is not are typically triggered by factors including genetics and the environment. I also like how it said
he plans 2020 bid.
I think he's going to muscle it out because he's got to have organization. He's got name ID. He's got money. He's the establishment candidate.
Get rid of the Electoral College.
I'm open to a younger voting age. Term limits for Supreme Court justices.
It's simple. When you can't win an election, you
start with the race for the 2020 Democratic nomination. There is a hint. A couple of days ago, we heard that Joe Biden, he came out and he said, I am the most progressive. I have the most progressive record of anybody running. And people go, oh, slip of the tongue. No, that's actually, according to the Wall Street Journal, what he's been telling really rich people that he's calling up begging for money because he wants to outdo Beto and Bernie in the cash.
Yep, check out this Wall Street Journal headline. Joe Biden tells supporters he plans 2020 bid.
And the other one talks about him begging for money. For me, if I'm 78 years old, I've done this 2 times before, I'd be a little bit more relaxed about jumping out of the gate and trying to make a huge headline. Joe, people know you. You're going to get support, especially if you can get the Obama machine behind you. Right. It will come. You just don't want an embarrassing rollout. Like, you know, you have basically Klobuchar, Kamala Harris 1.5, and Booker. They were around $1 million. I mean, if Joe's in between, I don't think anyone would put a nail in his coffin as a candidate.
I don't know, though. I mean, Brian, look at Beto, $6.1 million, $5.9 million for Bernie Sanders, $1.5 for Kamala Harris. I think he wants to not only beat those numbers, Joe Biden, for day one, but I think he wants to beat them big.
Right. He wants to blow the doors off.
He wants to, yeah.
And according to the Wall Street Journal, what he's worried about is he will not be able to raise the money online like Beto and also Bernie.
Yep.
But when you look at, remember, one of the first ones in was Elizabeth Warren.
Yes.
You know how much Elizabeth Warren raised in the first 18 hours? $300,000, and it was largely on Act Blue. So when you look at the numbers, you know, Joe wants to be able to say, not only do I have a message, but I've got the financial backers behind me. And right now, when you look at the latest polls, there is some good news for Joe. He's leading. Good news for Bernie. He's in second. But the best news of this particular poll is that Kamala Harris is now in double digits. More people are familiar with her, and she has rocketed up, I think, 4 points since the last time they did that poll.
You just got to be stable enough to get through Iowa, New Hampshire, and be a legitimate candidate in South Carolina.
Yep.
And if you could just get through those beginnings, I think you'll be fine. And this early on, I guess, is a lot about money. But to me, as I mentioned earlier,
breaking overnight, the Lion airplane that went down off Indonesia last year nearly went down the day before. Who stepped in to save that day?
The Republicans.
President Trump airing his grievances and stands by as Brazil's president lashes out against gays and the free press.
And a warning from FedEx, trade tensions losing to a big slowdown in shipping, major bellwether of the economy worldwide.
The FDA approves the first drug to treat postpartum depression, but you'll need some patience and tens of thousands of dollars. A potential real important development for many, many women. Good morning and welcome to Early Start. I'm Christine Romans.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Dave Briggs. Wednesday, March 20th. It is 4 a.m. in the East. We start with some breaking news overnight. Stunning revelations about the doomed Lion Air flight that went down off Indonesia last October, killing 189 people. Bloomberg reporting that when the...
Christine, what we're learning from this reporting from Bloomberg is that this same plane that was to crash at the end of October last year, plunging into the Java Sea just after takeoff with 189 people on board, had just the day before done a Bali to Jakarta trip, and that this third pilot, one that was off duty, we're hearing, was in the cockpit. And it was he who managed to disable that automatic flight system that when the sensors captured the fact that the plane looked like it might be stalling, essentially pushed the nose down. This particular pilot, according to this latest reporting, Christine, was able to show the other pilots how to disable that particular system. Now, that matters right now because here in Paris, the black boxes from that latest Ethiopian Airlines crash of that same Boeing are being investigated. The data's been downloaded and it will be read. We know that there are similarities between the trajectories of the two doomed flights. And so that question of the system now very much at the heart of the investigations here. And what we now know is that pilots had struggled in the past, some managing to compensate that system, to overcome it, to disable it, and others tragically failing to do so.
And Melissa Belfort in Paris with those new details. Thank you for that.
Badly in need of an ally, the president found one at his front door. Jair Bolsonaro, the president of Brazil, whose combative political persona echoes the president's own, fawned over his American counterpart at the White House yesterday.